So, hello there, and welcome back to another Night of the Movies video. I'm, of course, Spike Knight, and in these videos, I love talking all things movies and TV, and whatever I want, whenever I want. And in today's video, I am reviewing the Take That docuseries, which is now streaming on Netflix. So, let's get into it, shall we? The Take That docuseries, which as I just said, is now streaming on Netflix. It's all about it. It's all about, you guessed, Take That, the very popular British boy band. And in this docuseries, we get to see Take That come together. We get to see the formation of Take That, and we get to see their rise to fame, how they drove girls crazy, and how insanely popular they were in the 90s. And at the same time, we also get to see the strong connections that were made within the band, and we get to see the tensions that were forming in the band, and the infighting that took place in the band, again, during the 90s, and then we get to see the effect that certain band members leaving had on other band members. And in the second episode, we see all the stuff about their solo careers, how certain band members had more successful solo careers than other band members, and we get to see the effect that the breakup of Take That, that the initial breakup of Take That had on the band members. And then in the last episode, we get to see how and why they reunited. Why and how Take That reunited, and what it meant for them to reunite, and why they also made some new music as well. Yes, this docuseries tells the story of Take That in enormous detail. This docuseries goes into a hell of a lot of detail in 3 episodes, which are about 45 minutes to 55 minutes long. And also, this docuseries has interviews from all the band members. Now, you don't just see them in talking head interviews, but instead you hear their interviews during voiceover, which kind of narrates the docuseries. You know, you hear their interviews as sort of narration for what's taken place in this docuseries to tell their story, to help tell their story. And from what I've read, Robbie Williams and Jason Orange, he's got a funny name, by the way. It did make me laugh every time I kind of heard his name in the docuseries while I was watching it yesterday. But anyway, from what I've read, Robbie Williams and Jason Orange didn't do any new interviews for this docuseries, but their interviews they've done in the past about Take That are used for the docuseries, and Guy Barlow, Mark Owen, and Howard Donald did do new interviews for the docuseries because they are still Take That. They are still going out there. I think they're touring sometime this year, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, you get interviews from all the band members in this docuseries, some which were made for this docuseries, some which weren't, but that was one of the reasons I was interested in seeing this docuseries, because I'm more interested in documentaries or docuseries about bands where it's them telling their story. You know, it wasn't too long ago, I was on Prime Video, and I wanted to watch a documentary I'd seen on there about Fleetwood Mac. And I started to watch the documentary and I realised I'm not really into this because it's not them telling their story. And then it was not too long ago, and I actually talked about this on this channel, when I rewatched the Beatles Anthology, which is now streaming on Disney+, and I realised how much I loved that docuseries, and I realised one of the reasons I loved that docuseries is because it's the Beatles telling their story. Granted, that docuseries was made after John Lennon had sadly passed away, but you still get interviews from him which fit in with the narrative that each member of the band is telling in that docuseries, and you also see interviews from people who are very close to him in that docuseries. And I think that adds to the overall, what am I trying to say here, fulfilling effect, to the overall satisfying and fascinating story of the Beatles when it comes to that docuseries. And I'm not saying when it came to this docuseries I wanted something on the level of the Beatles Anthology. That was never going to happen because I'm a huge Beatles fan, so I'm not saying that was going to be the case with this documentary, with this docuseries for me, but I was interested because I'd seen the trailer for this docuseries a couple of weeks ago now, and I saw that it was a docuseries where the band was telling their story, and I'm always more interested in a docuseries or in a documentary about a band when you hear them telling their own story, because there's a sense of authenticity there, and when I saw that was going to be the case with this docuseries, I made a point about watching it. However, I should say here, I am not a great fan of Take That. There's about 10 of their songs I really like. To name a few at the top of my head right now, Shine, although I think that's kind of overplayed. I also like The Flood, I like Patience, Back for Good, I think is a great song. And there's other ones I'm forgetting off the top of my head right now. Never Forget, I think is a really wonderful song. So there's quite a few of their songs which I do enjoy. But again, I'm not a great fan of Take That. Funnily enough, and side note here, one of my mates' mums actually knows Howie, aka Howard Donald, actually knows him pretty well. But again, I'm not a big fan of Take That, so I didn't really have much anticipation for this docuseries. But yesterday, when I sat down to watch something, and I went onto Netflix and I saw that this docuseries was available, I was like, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give the first episode a go. And here's the thing, I ended up watching the entire docuseries last night. I was only anticipating watching one of the episodes of the docuseries, but I ended up watching all 3 episodes because I found it really, really good. This docuseries surprised me because it made me care about Take That, a band, again, I've not really cared much about in the past. They got some good tunes, but I'm not somebody who was there in the 90s, you know, and Take That were, you know, when girls are going crazy for them. I mean, girls still go crazy for them now, but you know what I mean. Like, I wasn't there in the 90s. I wasn't even alive in the 90s, you know? I was somebody who was very young when they, by the time they had reunited and by the time they were making music again. So I've never really got all the Take That love until I was watching the docuseries and I was like, oh, I get it. I get why people love their music so much. I get why they mean so much to so many people. I mean, not only are they good looking lads, but actually, you know, they make some pretty good music, particularly when they reunited. That's my favourite era of their music, although they do some good songs from their early years. But the point I'm making is this docuseries made me appreciate Take That in a new light, something which I think all good docuseries or documentaries about a band should do, or about a singer should do. And actually, one of the things this docuseries does really well is it tells you a lot about each band member. It doesn't feel like one band member in this docuseries gets more screen time or get more of their story told than the other band member. Like, going into this docuseries, I knew barely anything about Mark Owen, Jason Orange, and Howard Donald. I knew barely anything about those 3. And actually, watching this docuseries, I learned a lot more about them. I learned a lot more about why being in Take That, why being in this boy band was important to them, and what was important to them when they reunited, why they wanted to reunite, and what made them click. And I really began to like them more as musicians, which does lead me on to one of my small criticisms when it comes to this docuseries. When you see them reunite in the 3rd episode, and that's not a spoiler by the way, everybody knows Take That reunited, or if you didn't, well, you know now. But when you see them reunite in the 3rd episode, see that Howard Donald can now play drums, and they see that Jason Orange can now play guitar, and the series doesn't go into them learning to play those instruments. And I personally would have liked to see that, because when you see them in the early days of Take That, Howard's the dancer, and so is Jason Orange as well. You know, they're just dancers, they're just backing vocals. Whilst I personally would have liked to see them learning their instruments, learning to write music, because you see them doing that in the last episode, but I just would have liked to see their path to get there, you know what I mean? And you don't really get to see that. But you do get a hell of a lot of detail in this docuseries nonetheless. That's like my only criticism with this docuseries I can think of right now. Because I was watching this docuseries and I was actually surprised by how much detail it was going into. This is not a fluff piece. This is not making Take That look better than... Yeah, this is not going, oh, look how amazing Take That was. No, this is a docuseries which really focuses on the struggles that each band member went through, and in doing so it makes for quite an interesting and engaging watch, to the point that I was actually quite shocked to hear certain things about what Gary Barlow went through when I was watching the 2nd episode of this docuseries. I didn't actually know what Gary Barlow had been through during the period where Take That were not together and before they reunited. I didn't know what he'd gone through, and I actually found that heartbreaking. And I've never been the biggest fan of Guy Barlow. Nothing against him. I don't know. There's something about him which Anyway, I've never been the biggest fan of Guy Barlow, but actually, again, I began to appreciate him more as the docuseries went on. I was like, actually, no, he's a good songwriter, and this guy's been through a lot. And you know what? He's still gone strong, and good on him. And again, I just found this new appreciation for them that I didn't expect. Even Robbie Williams, you know, and I've seen the Robbie Williams film. I've seen Better Man, and I came out of Better Man with a new appreciation of Robbie Williams. But coming out of this docuseries, I found a new appreciation for him as well, as a person, because he wanted to reunite. He wanted to mend those bridges which he broke after he left the band. And you understand in this docuseries, that's the thing, you really understand in this docuseries how much Take That means to each member of the band, what this boy band means to each member of them, why they kind of needed it. And I really liked that about it. I really liked how I understood how much this band meant to each member in its own way, you know. And again, there's so much great detail in there which makes for a really enjoyable watch. Like, this is a properly entertaining docuseries, but also it's emotional at times, and it's kind of hard to watch at times in a way I didn't expect. And as somebody who has never really been a big fan of Take That, again, I like some of their music, but, you know, I like about 10 of their songs, that's really it. As somebody who's not really a big fan of Take That, I came away from this docuseries going, you know what? I like them a lot more now, and I'm actually going to go and listen to some Take That songs. You know, after I finished the docuseries, I was singing Never Forget. I kind of found myself singing it, you know, and I didn't realise I was humming it when I was in the shower last night, and it's just, that's when you really know a docuseries has worked, when it's hit you in a way that you kind of didn't expect it would, but you're so glad that it did. Again, there are parts I do think they could have focused in on a bit more, like when certain band members learn songwriting more. Like, oh, what was the path that led them to do that? And at the end of the docuseries, I was kind of hoping for a bit more, like, from what I've heard, and I might be wrong here, from what I've heard, Robbie Williams does still do stuff with them occasionally, does still do stuff with the three remaining members of Take That, and occasionally pops up with them on tour, and they are still good friends with Jason Orange, and I would have liked there to be a little bit more of an exploration into that towards the end of this docuseries, because you see at the end of the docuseries, again, this isn't a spoiler, this is already out there, it's already public knowledge, you know, Jason Orange and Robbie Williams left the band to do their own things, but the band members all still stayed friends, and I would have liked them to touch on that a bit more. But again, this is a really good docuseries, and I really didn't think I was going to be saying that. This is, I think, one of those docuseries which you just can't help but get into, and I think it helps that it's a docuseries told. It's a docuseries about Take That, told by the band members themselves. They tell the narrative, and it's really well made as well. You know, Netflix, they make some cracking documentaries and some cracking docuseries, and this is another example of that. I would definitely recommend it, and that's coming from someone who was never a great Take That fan. And so, all in all, I'm going to say this docuseries, whew, you know what? I'm feeling generous. I'm not quite sure why, but I'm going to give it a... I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Wow. I didn't expect to say that. I was actually planning to give this docuseries an 8 out of 10. But the more I think about it, the more I talk about it, the more I realize how much it worked to me. Like, I had this huge grin on my face watching the 3rd episode of this docuseries. And again, I've never been a big fan of Take That. 10 of their songs I like. That's really it. Not even sure if I'd like 10 of their songs, actually. I've just been saying that, but if I actually really thought about it, I'd go, maybe I only really like, I don't know, 7 of their songs. Point is, I've never really been a fan of Take That, and yet I watched this docuseries, and you know what? I was rooting for them, and I cared about each one of them, and I learned so much about each band member as well, in a way which I didn't expect, and I was going, you know what? Yes. Take That. I like them a lot more. I never thought I would say that, but this docuseries managed to make me care about them, managed to make me appreciate them in a new light, not only as people, but also as musicians, and I came away from it with a huge grin on my face. There's also lots of footage in this docuseries, which makes for, again, a really enjoyable watch. It's just full of detail, you know, they go into so much detail, and it makes for a really engaging and entertaining watch that I do think is really well done. and again made me care about this band more than I ever thought I would. And so all in all, as what he said, and as I'm going to say once more in today's video, the Take That docuseries on Netflix, I'm going to say it's a 9 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, that's it for today's video. If you have seen the Take That docuseries on Netflix, please let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching all, thank you for watching or listening to this video today. And if you haven't yet, please just click down below and like and subscribe on this video. And look forward to many more videos coming very, very soon on this channel. As what he said, thank you for watching this video today, and I will see you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.